Mafia Boss's sister had a stroke at dinner. Poor Waitress's nursing degree changed everything. Move. That was the first thing Adrian Moretti ever said to me. Not hello. Not please. Move. His sister was collapsing beside Bellamy's private dining table, one hand slipping from the white linen as a wine glass shattered against the marble floor. For half a second, everyone in the room froze. I did not. Claire Moretti's mouth had pulled slightly to one side. Her right hand hung uselessly near her chair. When she tried to say her brother's name, the word came out thick and broken. Stroke. A man in a navy suit grabbed her under the arms. We're taking her to the car. No. Every face turned toward me. Adrian Moretti turned last. I had waited on senators, hedge fund managers, celebrities, and men who believed expensive watches made them important. Adrian did not need to prove anything. At 35, in a black suit with a thin scar beside his jaw and a silver watch at his wrist, he had the kind of presence that made powerful people lower their voices. Move, he said again. I dropped my tray and knelt beside Claire. Do not put her in a private car. One of his men stepped toward me. Adrian lifted 2 fingers. The man stopped. You have 10 seconds, Adrian said. Explain. I looked at Claire. Claire, smile for me. She tried. Only the left side moved. Raise both arms. Her left arm came up. Her right barely lifted. Say, the sky is blue. She struggled through the words. I looked at the clock above the bar. 7:43. Adrian's eyes narrowed. What? Symptom onset. Remember it. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. She needs emergency stroke care now. Call 911 and tell them possible acute stroke with onset at 7:43. We have a doctor 10 minutes away, the navy-suited man said. She needs a stroke team, imaging, and treatment decisions now, not a house call in 10 minutes. Adrian watched my face. You're a waitress. I have a nursing degree. That changed something in his eyes. He turned. Call. The room erupted into motion. I helped Claire down carefully and kept her airway clear while another server moved furniture away. Her pill case fell from the pocket of her coat and snapped open across the floor. White tablets rolled under chairs. One pale blue tablet stopped beside my knee. I glanced at it, then at the others. Different shape, different imprint. I registered it, but there was no time to investigate. Paramedics arrived within minutes. I gave them the onset time, symptoms, and what I had seen. While they prepared Claire for transport, she caught my wrist. Her grip was weak but deliberate. Emily, she whispered. I had never told her my name. Then I remembered my Bellamy badge. I'm here. Her eyes moved past Adrian toward the men surrounding him. Not him. My stomach dropped. Not Adrian. She tightened her fingers as much as she could. Not yet. Something cold touched my palm. A thin silver keycard. C17. Claire pushed my fingers closed around it. Then her hand went slack. Adrian saw only his sister lose strength. He did not see the card disappear into my apron. At the hospital, the neurologist said recognizing the signs quickly and preserving the exact onset time had saved precious minutes. Claire remained alive, stable, and under close observation. At 2:17 in the morning, Adrian found me outside the stroke unit. What do you want? He asked. Sleep. His expression did not change. For helping my sister. I recognized a stroke. You stopped my men from putting her in a car. They were wasting time. Most people probably apologized after challenging Adrian Moretti. I was too tired. How much? He asked. For what? Your debt. Tuition. An apartment. A hospital position. I stared at him. You think saving your sister created an invoice? I think everyone wants something. There it was. The rule that had built his world. I stood. Your sister lived. That is enough. His gaze dropped to the small nursing school pin beneath my Bellamy badge. You graduated? Bachelor of Science in Nursing. Then why are you serving dinner? The question found a bruise I kept hidden. My mother became ill during my final semester. I finished school, but she died before I completed my licensing process. Her medical bills stayed. Bellamy pays good tips. My second job pays rent. I can clear the debt tomorrow. No. Emily, do not turn the worst year of my life into one of your transactions. For the first time, Adrian Moretti had no answer. As I walked toward the elevator, a man with dark hair and black enamel cufflinks approached him. Marcus Vale. Russo contacted 2 captains tonight, Marcus said quietly. Before Claire collapsed. Adrian's voice changed. So somebody knew something was coming. The elevator doors closed before I heard more. 20 minutes later, I placed C-17 on my kitchen table. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Do you have what Claire gave you? A second message followed. Do not give it to her brother yet. Then someone knocked on my apartment door. 3 slow knocks. Miss Carter, a man called. Mr. Moretti sent us. I stared at the lock. Adrian had my phone number from the hospital witness form. He did not have my address. Do not open the door. Adrian's voice came through my phone so quietly that it frightened me more than shouting would have. The men outside knocked again. Miss Carter, Mr. Moretti wants you somewhere safe. I backed away. You're sure they are not yours? I do not send men to a woman's home while pretending she has already agreed to come with them. A shadow crossed beneath the door. What do I do? Stay away from the windows. Police are already being contacted. I am tracing how they found you. His voice moved away from the receiver. Cole, pull cameras on her block. Marcus, traffic feeds. Find every vehicle that entered in the last 30 minutes. That was the first time I heard Adrian give orders when he was frightened. He sounded calmer. A car door slammed outside. Footsteps retreated. By the time police arrived, the hallway was empty. Security footage later showed a dark sedan leaving my street. The plate belonged to a shell company tied indirectly to Vincent Russo, head of a rival family that had been testing Moretti territory for months. Adrian did not explain the politics. He only said, "Your apartment is compromised. At least you did not lie." I rarely lie when the truth is more useful. He offered me a room at a Moretti-owned hotel. Offer? I asked. Yes. And if I say no, I will dislike the decision. But it remains yours. That was why I accepted. The next afternoon, I visited Claire. Her speech was slow, but better. Her right arm remained weak. I closed the door behind me and placed C-17 beneath my palm. Her eyes widened. You remember giving me this? Yes. Why me? Because everyone in that room answered to Adrian. I did not. The corner of her mouth moved. Exactly. I lowered my voice. You told me not him. Not yet. Claire nodded. I am not afraid of my brother, she said. I am afraid of whoever stands close enough to hear every order he gives. She had been auditing Moretti's legitimate companies for 18 months. Money was disappearing through shell corporations and false vendor accounts. Not enough at once to trigger panic. Enough over time to finance something much larger. A rival takeover. I asked. A betrayal. Who? I do not know. She looked at C-17. That card is only half the lock. I frowned. It opens a secure deposit drawer. But the ledger inside is encrypted. The access phrase is in my head. I built it that way because a card can be stolen. So whoever wants the evidence needs both you and C-17. Yes. Now the danger made sense. Why not tell Adrian now? Because the leak is inside his inner circle. If I tell him before we know who, one wrong conversation destroys everything. A nurse entered to check Claire's blood pressure. I stepped back. On the bedside table sat her medication list. One drug name caught my eye. I looked at the dose, then remembered the pale blue pill at Bellamy. What is it? Claire asked. Probably nothing. But I took a picture of the list with her permission. Outside the room, Marcus held the door for me. His cufflink caught the light. Black enamel. Silver edge. A wolf's head. I had noticed similar Moretti wolf insignia on 2 other senior men. It was not unique. Still, something about seeing it made the back of my neck prickle. That night, Adrian sent me a photograph. Me leaving Claire's room. C-17 visible between my fingers. Below it was a message someone had sent to Adrian. Ask your waitress why your sister trusted her more than you. My phone rang. Emily, Adrian said. I said nothing. What exactly did Claire give you? I looked at the silver card on the hotel desk. I cannot tell you yet. His silence stretched. Then he said, that answer may put you in more danger than the truth. I know. Are you protecting Claire? Yes. From me? No. A longer pause. Then from someone near me. I did not answer. He understood anyway. When he spoke again, his voice had changed. Keep the card. I stared at the phone. What? If Claire trusted you with it, keep it until she says otherwise. That was the first crack in the wall between us. Not because Adrian trusted me. Because he chose not to force me. By morning, someone had created a reason for Adrian to regret that choice. Daniel Rizzo, one of the Moretti captains, disappeared. $400,000 vanished from an account connected to the same network Claire had been auditing. 2 hours later, Marcus brought Adrian a tablet full of messages. C-17. Payment instructions. Meeting locations. And my name. Emily Carter. I stared at the screen. I have never spoken to Rizzo. Adrian stood across from me in the hotel's private conference room. Marcus watched from near the door. Captain Anthony Cole stood beside the windows. The messages say otherwise, Marcus said. I looked at Adrian. Do you believe them? His eyes stayed on mine. I believe someone wants me to. Marcus shifted. Adrian picked up the tablet. Metadata. Being checked, Marcus said. Device origin. Still tracing. Then these are accusations, not facts. My throat tightened. Adrian looked at me. Until they become facts, you are not guilty of anything. It should not have mattered as much as it did. But it did. Later that day, Rizzo was found alive in Jersey City. He admitted taking money from a Russo intermediary, but insisted he had not known the full purpose. He thought he was being paid to move funds and pass internal schedules. He had been weak, greedy, and afraid. Adrian did not excuse him, but he listened. That mattered. Rizzo gave him one useful detail. Every instruction had come through a cutout who referenced information only available to people inside Adrian's senior circle. You are the fall guy, Adrian told him. Rizzo went pale. And so is Emily. The forged messages were not meant to prove I was a traitor. They were meant to make Adrian act before he verified anything. The trap had almost worked. That evening, I returned to Claire's room. The enemy is testing your brother, I said. Claire looked tired. How? By giving him reasons to distrust people before he has proof. She closed her eyes. That is exactly how my father was destroyed. When Adrian arrived, he heard the last sentence. He stopped. Claire looked at him. You still wear his watch. Adrian glanced at the silver watch on his wrist. My father trusted a man who sold information to a rival. He reacted late. People died because he believed loyalty was permanent. His voice held no pride, only memory. I understood him differently after that. Adrian did not control everything because control pleased him. He controlled everything because once, control had failed. That night, he walked me back to the hotel elevator. You should leave Manhattan until this is over, he said. My shoulders tightened. He saw it instantly. I am asking, not ordering. No. And if I refuse, I will adapt. I looked at him. You really are learning. Do not make a ceremony out of it. I smiled despite myself. I am staying. Claire needs people she trusts. Adrian nodded once. Then stay. The elevator doors opened. Before I stepped inside, he said, Emily. I turned. I checked the messages myself. You did not have to tell me. Yes, I did. That was the moment something changed. Not love. Not yet. But trust stopped feeling like an accident. The medication clue became real 2 days later. Claire's neurologist reviewed the pills recovered from Bellamy against her prescription history. Several tablets did not match the intended dosage. Could that have caused the stroke? Adrian asked. The neurologist chose his words carefully. Claire already had hypertension and existing risk factors. I cannot say one altered dose caused the event. But inappropriate medication or dosage changes could significantly increase risk and may have contributed. I looked at the photograph on my phone. The pale blue pill. That is the one I noticed at Bellamy. Adrian turned to me. You noticed? Only for a second. It was a different shape and imprint. I thought it might be a normal substitution. The neurologist examined the image. It should be checked. For the first time, my nursing education did more than explain the opening emergency. It gave us a direction. Adrian had ordered Bellamy's original footage preserved the night Claire collapsed. We returned to the restaurant after closing. For cameras. One private hallway. One coat check station. We watched the hour before dinner again and again. Then I saw Lena, another server, receive Claire's pill case from a man near the service corridor. Lena was found downstairs. I did not open it, she said. He told me Ms. Moretti left it at coat check. Who? Adrian asked. One of your people. The camera angle did not show the man's face. It showed his wrist. A Black Wolf cufflink. My pulse changed. Marcus wore one. So did Anthony Cole. So did 3 other senior officers. The clue did not tell us who. It told us where to look. Inner circle, I said. Adrian stared at the screen. Exactly. Marcus entered 5 minutes later. You wanted me? Adrian did not glance toward me. Find everyone authorized to wear the wolf insignia. I want locations for the night Claire collapsed. Marcus nodded. If he was guilty, he showed nothing. That frightened me more than guilt would have. Later, Adrian and I stood alone in Bellamy's empty dining room. Same table, same marble floor. No emergency this time. You could confront all of them, I said, and teach the guilty one what I know. So what will you do? Give each man a different truth. I looked at him. A leak test. His mouth almost smiled. Nursing school teaches espionage now. No, human beings teach patterns. He looked at the chair where Claire had collapsed. My father never tested the people closest to him. And you test everyone. Yes. That is not the same as trust. No. He looked at me then. I am beginning to understand that. Adrian's trap was simple enough to work. 3 people received 3 different pieces of information. The Moretti chief financial officer was told C-17 had been moved to a private bank vault in Midtown. Captain Anthony Cole was told Claire had hidden it at her apartment. Marcus Vale was told Adrian planned to inspect a secure Moretti storage site near Pier 14 where the ledger had supposedly been transferred. Only one story left the room. 6 hours later, 2 Russo vehicles arrived near Pier 14. Nobody approached them. Nobody fired a shot. Adrian's men photographed every person, followed every vehicle, and traced every call. Marcus had leaked the location. Adrian sat very still when the confirmation came. I expected anger. What I saw was grief. Marcus had served his father. He had stood beside Adrian when Adrian took control of the family. He had attended Claire's birthdays. Betrayal was not painful because the enemy was close. It was painful because the enemy had once been loved. You knew this was possible, I said. I knew it was possible. That is not the same as wanting to be right. No. The next break came from Rizzo. One of the shell companies he had used routed money into 3 businesses controlled by Russo associates. The pattern matched Claire's audit. Rizzo had not financed the coup knowingly. Marcus had used him to move pieces without seeing the board. Claire confirmed the rest. For 18 months, she said, Marcus diverted money out of legitimate Moretti businesses and into companies tied to Russo. He was buying loyalty, funding pressure on our territory, and making the family look financially unstable. Adrian understood before I did. He was building a reason for captains to abandon me. Claire nodded. And Russo? Not the mastermind. The beneficiary. Marcus wanted control. Russo wanted territory. Each thought he was using the other. Adrian looked at C-17 in my hand. He needs the card. And Claire's access phrase, I said. Claire nodded. That unified everything. The stroke. The card. The photographs. The fake evidence. The apartment visit. Marcus did not merely want Claire frightened. He needed her disabled long enough to seize the evidence before she could identify him. Adrian's phone vibrated. 3 Moretti-controlled businesses had just been financially frozen by outside partners after receiving anonymous accusations. 2 captains declared neutrality. Marcus was gone. The coup had started. Then Adrian's private line rang. He answered. Marcus's voice filled the room. You always thought Russo was coming for your empire. Adrian's expression became stone. He is not, Marcus continued. I am giving it to him. Adrian ended the call. Claire looked at her brother. What now? He turned toward the window. Now he believes I am reacting. And are you? Adrian looked back at us. No. The Moretti organization did not collapse. It tightened. Adrian froze compromised accounts, cut off access to Moretti-controlled shipping and distribution, and called a private sit-down with every captain still willing to listen. He did not ask them to trust him. He gave them verifiable facts. Transfers. Shell companies. Rizzo's statement. Photos from Pier 14. Then he stopped before revealing Marcus. Why not finish it? I asked later. Because proof Marcus betrayed me is not proof of everyone helping him. He needed the network, not just the traitor. I had my licensing exam eligibility notice on the hotel desk when Adrian came to see me that night. You reopened it. I looked at the paperwork. I requested my transcript last week. He nodded. You remembered. I remember everything you tell me. The line should have sounded arrogant. Instead, it made my chest ache. He glanced at the forms. I can arrange. I gave him a look. He stopped. Then, slowly, he said, you can arrange it. I laughed. That may be the most difficult sentence you have spoken all week. I have spoken to armed captains this week. And yet, he almost smiled. That was when my phone buzzed. Emergency. Claire has deteriorated. West parking structure. Come now. I stood instantly. Then my training interrupted my fear. Claire's rehabilitation unit was east. Medical staff would not summon me to a parking garage. I called the floor. No answer. I called Adrian. He was already speaking to Cole in the hall. I should have waited. I did not. That was my mistake. I crossed the hospital campus toward the west structure because some part of me still believed Claire might need help. Halfway there, a second message appeared. Level 3. Hurry. I stopped. Wrong. Completely wrong. I hit the nearest emergency call box. Security. My name is Emily Carter. Tell Adrian Moretti. Bellamy is serving the wrong table. The guard hesitated. What? He will understand. I hoped he would. Headlights turned onto the level. I backed toward the stairwell. 2 men stepped from a dark sedan. Miss Carter. I ran. I did not want to fight. I did not suddenly become fearless. They caught me before I reached the stairs. When I woke, Marcus Vale sat across from me inside an empty warehouse. Where is C-17? Not here. That was not the question. You changed Claire's medication. His expression barely moved. That was answer enough. You needed her unable to talk, I said. I needed time. And me? You were convenient. Adrian will find me. Marcus smiled. That is the point. Across Manhattan, Adrian heard my message. Bellamy. Wrong table. The first night we met, the wrong decision would have been taking Claire away from the people equipped to save her. The wrong table meant distraction. Adrian did not drive blindly toward the warehouse. He checked Claire first. Her floor was secure. Then he traced the fake hospital message, monitored Russo routes, and leaked one deliberate claim through a channel Marcus still trusted. C-17 had already been copied and delivered to federal financial investigators. Marcus reacted. He called Russo. Adrian was listening. That call exposed the warehouse. But by the time Moretti men arrived, Marcus had already moved. He left me inside a delivery van 2 blocks away. Not because he had mercy, because I had never been his real objective. When Adrian found me, I was shaking so hard I could barely hold the blanket someone wrapped around my shoulders. He crouched in front of me. Are you hurt? No. He closed his eyes for half a second. Then I understood. Claire. Adrian looked at me. Yes. Marcus had used me to pull attention away from the hospital. But this time, Claire was ready. 3 days earlier, I had taught Claire a verification phrase. It was not clever. It was practical. Nobody moved her from the rehabilitation floor unless they knew the phrase, and hospital staff verified the transfer through the unit. Adrian had called the idea excessive. Now it saved her. A fake transport team arrived 12 minutes after Marcus abandoned me. 2 men wore scrubs. A third carried forged paperwork. They looked legitimate. Claire asked, who authorized the transfer? Mr. Moretti. Verification phrase? They did not know it. Claire pressed the nurse call button. Hospital security locked the floor. The men fled before reaching her room. They were not caught, but cameras captured enough for identification. When Adrian heard the report, he looked at me. You were right. About what? The phrase. I stared at him. That physically hurt you to say, did it not? Yes. Despite everything, I laughed. Then Claire told us what Marcus still needed. The original ledger is not enough without my access phrase, she said. But the encrypted record contains the transfer map. If Marcus destroys it before the captains see it, he can still claim Adrian fabricated everything. So he needs the original gone, I said. Adrian nodded. And he believes Claire has to retrieve it. That gave Adrian the final trap. By midnight, a rumor moved through the Moretti network. Claire Moretti would personally access the C-17 deposit facility at 1 in the morning. The rumor was false. Claire remained on a secure medical floor under a restricted registration. C-17 remained with me until Adrian asked one final time. Do you trust me with it? Not give it to me. Not hand it over. Do you trust me? I placed the silver card in his palm. Yes. He closed his fingers around it. That was the first time I chose him without being cornered by danger. The private deposit facility opened at 1:13 in the morning. Marcus arrived first. Vincent Russo came 8 minutes later. Adrian was already inside. Claire was not. Neither was the real C-17 ledger. Adrian had spent days building something more dangerous than an ambush. An audience. Every neutral Moretti captain was connected to the call. So were 2 Russo associates Marcus had promised territory after the takeover. Adrian laid out the evidence piece by piece. Rizzo's payment trail. Pier 14 surveillance. Shell company transfers. The medication access footage. And the recorded call between Marcus and Russo after Adrian's false claim that C-17 had reached investigators. Marcus finally stopped pretending. Your father promised me a seat beside him, he said. You had one, Adrian replied. I built this family. You helped build it. And then you inherited the throne. Adrian's voice stayed calm. This is not a throne. Marcus laughed. It is when everyone kneels. No, it is a responsibility when everyone depends on what you decide next. For once, Adrian did not sound like the feared mafia boss everyone described. He sounded like a man who had finally decided what kind of power he wanted to hold. Marcus turned toward Russo. You said your people were ready. Russo did not answer. Because the alliance had already begun collapsing. The neutral captains had heard the financial proof. Russo's own associates had heard Marcus admit he had promised away territory that was not his. Marcus looked at Adrian. You brought no ledger. I did not need to. You brought no Claire. She was never coming. Marcus's face changed. Adrian lifted his phone. You thought C-17 was leverage. It was bait. The confession did what violence could not. It destroyed trust on both sides of the coup. Russo stepped back first. Then one of Marcus's own supporters disconnected from the call. Then another. Marcus had spent 18 months financing a takeover. Adrian dismantled it by making every participant hear exactly who had lied to them. By dawn, Moretti captains who had declared neutrality returned to negotiations. Russo withdrew his support from Marcus. The shell companies were exposed to legitimate partners and law enforcement through attorneys Adrian had already retained. Marcus lost access to Moretti businesses, accounts, and territory. He had wanted Adrian to react like his father. Fast, angry, blind. Adrian did the opposite. He waited for proof. Claire's recovery took months. That mattered. There was no miracle ending where her right hand suddenly worked because the danger was gone. There were difficult mornings, physical therapy sessions, speech exercises, frustration, and tiny victories that only looked small to people who had never lost them. One afternoon, she lifted a glass with her right hand. It trembled, but it stayed in the air. Adrian watched from beside the window. Claire smiled. I should have trusted you sooner. He kissed her forehead. I should have given you a reason. I looked away because something in my throat tightened. The Moretti organization stabilized. Russo accepted a truce because he no longer had the coalition or financial routes needed to pressure Moretti territory. Marcus was removed from the organization he had tried to steal and turned over through legal channels tied to the financial crimes Adrian's attorneys had documented. Rizzo cooperated and disappeared from Moretti life. Adrian did not become harmless. He remained Adrian Moretti, still the mafia boss, still feared, still powerful. But power no longer meant the same thing to him. 3 weeks after the coup ended, he handed me an envelope. I sighed. If this contains money. It does not. Inside were copies of the records I needed to finish my licensing application. Nothing had been paid. Nothing had been submitted in my name. A yellow note sat on top. You said your life was not mine to fix. So I did not fix it. I only found the page you said you had lost. I looked at him. You remembered? I remember everything you tell me. This time I did not pretend the words did nothing to me. I completed the paperwork myself. I studied. I scheduled the exam. I passed the NCLEX. After my state license was issued, I applied to hospitals on my own. Months after the night at Bellamy, I walked into my first shift as a registered nurse on a stroke and neuro unit. Claire arrived that afternoon carrying flowers. Adrian came later. Alone. No entourage. No driver waiting at the door. No favor hidden inside a conversation. Dinner, he asked. I folded my arms. Is that an order? His mouth almost smiled. No. He held out his hand. It is a request. I made him wait 3 seconds. Then I took it. We went back to Bellamy. Same private room. Same table. Claire sat across from us and raised a glass with the hand that once could not hold a fork. Adrian watched her with quiet pride. Then he looked at me. I remembered the first word he had ever said to me. Move. And mine. No. That word had stopped his men from making a dangerous mistake. My nursing education had recognized the stroke, preserved the onset time, exposed the medication discrepancy, and helped build the hospital protocol that protected Claire when Marcus tried one final deception. But the degree had changed more than Claire's outcome. It had forced Adrian to listen to someone he could not command. It had forced me to remember the life I had once planned before grief reduced it to survival. And it had forced both of us to learn the same thing from opposite sides. Trust was not obedience. Trust was choice. Adrian Moretti knew how to make a room move when he entered. He knew how to make rivals hesitate and captains listen. He knew how to protect an empire without pretending it was clean. But with me, he learned the one form of power he had never understood: how to ask. And I learned that choosing a powerful man did not mean surrendering myself to him. It meant knowing I could still say no. That was exactly why, when Adrian asked instead of ordered, I finally said yes.